Hiya Ray, just a quick recap on the key points of your session the other day. First of all, great progress in regards to your backswing. Last time we spoke, everything was rolling behind you too much. We talked a little bit more about the idea of a shift in the plane, so the club works and the hands work in, P1 to P2, and then start to elevate onto that higher plane as you approach the top. So there's a shift in swing plane from waist level to shoulder height. That was something that wasn't occurring with yourself the last time you came. If we have a little look at it now, if anything, the hands get up onto that higher plane a little bit too soon, so that's again something we can work on softening up. But you can see now much more tendency to get the club up, and as a result the swing is also looking a little bit fuller, longer arm plane and shoulder plane matching up. The thing we did talk about was how the positioning of this right elbow was affecting the line of the shaft up at the top of the backswing, tendency to get across the line. Right elbow just pops up and separates from the left a little bit, but having said that, nowhere near to the level that you used to get it. If you flatten the left wrist off or tuck the right elbow in a little bit, that shaft would line up much better at the top. So overall, an improvement in the position you are in at the top of the backswing. Now, previously the in to out was created by you having the ball too far back and the arms coming in excessively on the backswing. Now, we talked about why that was problematic, and you were getting the odd overdraw and the push to the right, and we explained that once we got the top of the backswing in a more desirable position, we now have to learn to how to put some hip slide in there and extend or tuck the hips during the downswing. Now, there's different ways you can achieve that. The feeling is, or the checkpoints are, that the left knee moves out in front of the left ankle during the early part of the swing. That puts some hip slide in there. Now, here in the middle, I've got two different ways of doing it. I've got Charlie Wee on the top, Troy Mattison down on the bottom. Charlie Wee's going to set up with his weight a little bit towards his left leg. Usually sets up with about 60%, maybe 55% favouring his lead leg. So the hip centre tends to be just forward of centre in the stance. You can see there with a red line. As a result, hasn't got a great deal of side bend to the right. You can see the yellow line set up. This means that during his downswing, Charlie's going to have to physically move his hips forward and slide those hips maybe about 6 or 7 inches during the course of the downswing. And the hips moving forward will help prevent the arms coming out, as we see here, as the body unwinds and the arms are pulled out and the club is outside the hands in the delivery position, resulting in pulls and cuts. So Charlie's going to move his hips forward about 6 or 7 inches during the early part of the downswing. It's quite a physical movement, the movement that's got to be created. It is something that you can work on. You had some good success with it during your session, and the feeling we gave you, or the drill that we gave you, was to set yourself up with your left foot against the wall of the range, and from the top of the backswing, drive the left hip into the range wall. So moving the left hip forward, getting some hip slide in there, keeping the arms in, and also keeping the angles here a little bit longer in the right arm and the shaft in the left arm. Now with Troy, what we've got is slightly different. Troy's moved his hips forward a little bit more at setup. He's got about 75% of his weight on his lead leg. As can be seen by the red line is slightly less towards the centre of his stance, slightly more favouring the target side of his stance, creating a little bit more side bend to the right at setup, which means now what Troy's going to do is try and maintain that. He's moved the hips forward at setup. As a result, he doesn't have to move them as far forward during the early part of the goal swing. So you can see there Troy's hip slide is probably about 4 inches, so less of a movement, still creating the same sort of side bend, the same sort of loading as we see with Charlie, but rather than putting a lot of hip slide in there. He's putting it in at setup. So one of the things we talked about you might want to consider at setup with driver is to move the hips towards the target a little bit more to help the hip slide and make the hip slide a little bit easier. So here we are towards the end of your session. Good position at the top again, much improved. Now as we start down, we're going to slide the hips a little bit more. We can see now that the club head isn't quite as far in front of us, so it's lining up a little bit more with the hands. And then if we let's get rid of those lines and the other swings on here, just so that you can see a comparison between these two swings. It is a small change, but it's quite an important one for you at this stage that we see it. So there we have both swings at the delivery position. If we just trace these back, you can see already that the shaft is shallowing more on the right. Still wants to be shallower, but shallows more. So we take you to the top. First move down, a little bit more hip slide. Arms not working out quite as much. You can see here that the arms are angled inwards more. The shaft isn't setting as steep as before. Now the more the hips slide, the more this arm would stay in and the more this shaft would shallow. Now ideally we'd want you on that red line there, so we've got to get some more hip slide in there, but you can see the trend before and after. Much less likely to hit a big cut with the one on the right than the one on the left. So good work, some nice changes. You start to see there already that the swing's taking shape and certainly moving in the right direction. So good luck with it, and look forward to working with you on the 20th. See you soon. Bye.